looking at, I don't know whether this is the right term, but sometimes I feel like, how do I know the difference between someone who has a mental health condition or someone who's just someone difficult to work with? And sometimes I think that's why disclosure is very important. How do I, and even like maybe if you can talk about how sometimes people can weaponize mental health to say like, oh, I didn't get this done because like I was anxious or I was so
perceptions, we can't control people's perceptions. They'll always be there. I believe the HR or the supervisor can work with the said staff on a plan of tasks, things that need to get done, schedules, just to support them, and then to monitor that because it's also not we also don't want to be giving them different tasks because of the mental health illness. People can still thrive and function fairly well with a mental health illness. So the wellness champions were there to promote just, let's all be thinking of being well. Whether it's physical wellness, emotional, financial, they really spread out on all the 8 components of wellness.
What are there 8?
Yeah, there are 8, but don't ask me to listen because now I'm trying to remember. Okay. There's like financial, emotional, spiritual, environmental. I remember in December at one family function, and I was sharing with a couple of people how one of the things that makes me very sad as a psychologist is when I hear people talking badly about someone with a mental health illness. And I'm always like, no, let's protect them and let's do awareness. So I think it's that lack of understanding.
So price, we're talking about.
Yeah, we're talking about price. Yes. It's expensive. That's for sure. And I hear that a lot from people. Even I remember when I put up my prices on my website. Well, it was different because when I put up my prices on my website, I had some people saying it was expensive and others saying it's cheap compared to what other therapists are charging. Yeah. And I think it is expensive, and I know not a lot of insurances are taking it, though I always like to look at it as an investment.
Hi, my name is Wangari. Welcome to 9 to 5 with Wangari, where we talk about all workplace-related topics. Today we're going to be talking about mental health awareness. The topic we'll be discussing is around people with mental health and if they should be disclosing this in their workplace. And we're hoping to provide insights and resources for both the employee and the employer on how to create like a safe and inclusive environment for employees with mental health conditions and want to disclose. I am really excited with my guest today. She's been on the show. She's our in-house counseling psychologist. Anytime we want topics around mental health, she will be the one to discuss in it. So hand over to Nyawera to give us a quick intro.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Sandra. And just as Wangari said, I'm a counseling psychologist and the lead therapist at Soul Shelter.
She's opened up a therapy studio. Is it a studio?
No, therapy practice. Oh my God, she should have gone on my website before.
A therapy practice here in Nairobi, Kenya. So yeah, karibu.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I guess I'll just get started. Can we talk about like the importance of mental health awareness in the workplace?
Yeah. And I think that's a good place to start, just because when we're thinking of mental health awareness in the workplace, it really creates environments for people to thrive and also increases productivity in the workplace. So it would be something important to talk about. Yeah.
And what when we say mental health awareness, what would that look like in the workplace?
Yeah. I would say it's really just looking at well-being, how people are able to achieve different tasks. They are not overstretching themselves. They have supportive supervisors. There's open feedback and communication, and also in the event that somebody does need support for any mental health conditions, that there is access to services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know like maybe like a lot of workplaces do provide that maybe through insurance, and I mean you can also have like an in-house counseling psychologist.
Yeah.
Which approach do you think like works better? And have you seen like greater success?
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't say it's a specific approach that works better.
Yeah.
I would say it's really just one, the workplace needs to be raising their awareness and making it okay to seek help.
Yeah.
And it could be even just from various well-being initiatives like throughout the year to just provide that forum of people talking about emotions, feelings related to the work. And then also, if there is an in-house psychologist, really ensuring matters of confidentiality, safety for the staff as they go to see the psychologist, so that they don't feel that if they go discuss anything, that it will be disclosed to many people or used against them. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So I guess delving into the topic around if an employee should disclose their mental health condition to like their workplace, and even sometimes even like the people you interact on a day to day. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah. Disclosure of a mental health illness is definitely a personal decision.
Yeah.
And it's a personal decision that should be made after someone with a mental health illness has weighed the potential risks and the potential benefits of disclosing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we talk about some of the potential? I guess we'll start with the benefits of disclosing
Yes.
a mental health condition.
Yeah. I think there are many, though if I think of just the main ones, the first one I would say is something like access. So once you disclose that you have the mental health illness, then there would be access to services, there would be access to referrals, seeing a psychologist. Another thing with regards to the potential benefits of disclosing would be stigma reduction, and just that awareness. Talking about your own mental health illness can help people have a better understanding, and also let people who may be struggling also just feel that they can also share.
Yeah.
And another benefit also of disclosing is protection, and this in terms of legal. If we're looking specifically at Kenya, there is the Mental Health Act and the Persons with Disabilities Act, which protects the rights of persons with disabilities. And if you look even at the definition of disabilities, it's really looking at physical, sensory, mental impairment that really affects someone either in their social, economic, and environmental functioning. Yeah.
So when you say this protection, so if say I disclose that I have, for example, like maybe like bipolar, and then like I have an episode during work, to say that I cannot be like managed out of an organization because I have disclosed that. Is that what you're referring to when you say protection?
It is that. Though just going a step further, I would say like protection in the sense of there shouldn't be discrimination. If someone with a mental health illness and someone without a mental health illness, they should have access to the same things. And also protection in the sense of how can we also accommodate? Is there something like flexible hours that would be available? Because it shouldn't be a reason to let someone go.
Okay. Awesome. Got you. Any other benefits?
I would say those are, I'm sure there are very many, but for me, those are the ones that stand out.
Okay, cool. Then what are some of the risks that can come with disclosing a mental health condition in the workplace?
One I would say is something like privacy.
Privacy?
So, disclosing anything is something that is definitely like like you've put a lot of thought to it. You don't know how people will take it. So it's letting people into a space that you may feel is okay, but you don't know like the long-term implications of disclosing. And then also they could be also stigma. There could be stigma of or disclosing, and people often who have limited knowledge of the mental health illness always thinking that this is the reason that this person behaves this way. Maybe we shouldn't be giving them specific tasks to do. So for me, that's what I would say could be, just the two main risks.
The two main risks.
Yeah.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
And I think there's also maybe a benefit that's just popped into my mind. I think especially say you're disclosing, I guess there are different layers of disclosure. You can disclose to your direct supervisor. You can disclose to like human resources department. You can disclose to people who work with you on a day-to-day basis. I think that provides like a lot of support. I always say like to be a good team member, you need to like understand yourself and then understand the team and then communicate to the team like this is me, this is like my boundaries, is how I work. I think that helps to like just be a little bit caring when like there's situations that happen that you don't quite point your finger towards. Are there any other like considerations? I know you've talked about the risks, the challenges. Are there any other considerations someone should be taking before disclosing like their mental health condition?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything right now. But it's just, I think it's just, those would be the three main ones.
Okay.
That if I did have a client, and that's, one of the discussions that we were having, I would focus on that. Though it would be good to brainstorm together also to see if the client did think there would be other risks, because it's also dependent on relationships with the organization, with supervisors, HR. So it would be a one-on-one discussion to explore further risks that could be for a specific individual. Yeah.
So, I mean, I always think like, at what stage would you disclose? Like, is it like when you're being hired into, or is it when you're already in it? Or like, what would you, or is that just case by case?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. And I don't think there's any formula on when to disclose. I would say it's really dependent on how comfortable the staff member feels. And also when we think of at the stage of interviews, everybody is trying to really point to put this picture across of really, really good package, because that's what everybody wants. It might be hard for someone to do it at that time, though I do know that there are people who often will disclose. And even just for me, let's say, for instance, if I was the one recruiting and someone discloses that they have been living with a mental health illness, they're on treatment, they've and also saying how long they've had it, it shows a lot of ownership and really that healing and journey that they want to take, and to really take ownership of it. So it depends on the
situation.
On the situation, for sure. And even because even just looking at the mental health illnesses that we look at, even may come up in the workplace that we see a lot of the time. Could be issues of anxiety, of depression, work-related PTSD, burnout, substance abuse also. So those would really be addressed very specifically. And these things that can be done as an organization, and things also that that needs to be on an individual basis, staff member, to be able to really have a comprehensive package. And it helps also when organizations have employee assistance programs, which are really looking at taking care of the well-being of every single employee, in terms of what are initiatives that are being done regularly, whether it's peer helpers in the organization, because sometimes people may not feel. To also raise awareness about mental health, it helps to have your peer tell you, and you feel more comfortable going to your peer. I know sometimes people are, because of the stigma related to mental health and seeking services, they may not want to see a psychologist directly or a psychiatrist. So it helps to have things like peer helpers. It helps to have that open discussion, workshops on specific topics, whether it's stress, whether it's, burnout, how to deal with that, so that people can feel supported even at the peer level of we're all in the same office doing the same work and we're supporting each other. Yeah. I really like employee assistant programs, and also just having that access to, if you do need mental services, there's referrals that are made available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Clear. I guess my next question is looking at, I don't know whether this is the right term, but sometimes I feel like, how do I know the difference between someone who has a mental health condition or someone who's just someone difficult to work with? It's and sometimes I think that's why disclosure is very important. How do I, and even like maybe if you can talk about how sometimes people can weaponize mental health to say like, oh, I didn't get this done because like I was anxious or I was I just wanted us to discuss, because sometimes mental health can be used as a weapon because it's so complex and you don't want to be like inconsiderate of people's feelings.
It's hard for me to say that they would use it as a weapon as a therapist, but I think it's. And are you asking from an organizational side or as a therapist side? Because then that's very different. Like what I would do in terms of that.
I think both.
Both, yeah. I think the first thing, if you do notice that a staff member is doing that, is and you are aware and you're not sure, it's also to reflect back to the staff member what you're seeing, or even asking what's going on, and seeing how they can get support. From a therapist side also, it would be to create that safe space to be able to discuss some of these things, how they're coping with their illness, are there any adjustments that need to be made, any support that needs to be made, adjustments to their work schedule, extra support that they may need to really be able to thrive. And these are things that we can, as a therapist, can support our staff member. And distinguishing between difficult people to work with and mental health illness. I always say that when it comes to difficult people to work with, it's such a thin line, because it could be, I'm trying to think the best way to answer. It's such a thin line, and it could be interconnected also. It really could be interconnected. Though one of the things is, when we look at even just diagnosing anyone with a mental health illness, is looking at their overall functioning. Is it every area, with their social, occupational functioning, that's all affected? Is there a pattern? Is it chronic? Is it acute? So there would be other characteristics of the specific or mental health illness that would be able to help us as mental health professionals to distinguish.
That's interesting.
For when looking at is it a difficult person? I think that's now the task of an organization as a whole, to really be looking at having, whether it's trainings or workshops on leadership, on conflict resolution, on team spirit, doing team building. So that would now be things that you can do also just to mitigate any eventualities of this happening. So things to do as prevention, and then also when there's something observed is really to look at how that can be addressed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you said something really interesting that kind of struck a chord in me. But I know you said on the therapist side, look at the different aspects of their life.
Yes.
And I think sometimes that's why it's important to kind of like build a relationship with, say, even like, as you said, your peers or people who are reporting into you too. Because if you build that relationship, they might tell you, oh, I'm going through this situation at work.
Yeah.
I mean, at home, in my personal life. So you already know this. So you'll be like, okay, this might be why this person is like behaving like this way at this certain period. It's a really good insight for me. So would that something you would encourage, like try and build some form of like relationships?
I think like we spend like all our time at work. I think it's important to have relations. Yes. It's important to have relationships, and those relationships at the office really keep you going. You're able to discuss the same challenges. You can have solutions together about the challenges that you're facing together, and also to discuss personal issues. I wouldn't say with everyone, but just with those that you're able to build a relationship with. Why not? Because those are helpful. Yeah, right. For sure.
Cool. So make friends at work.
Yes. Yes, make friends at work. It's important.
I think this is it's like a really great idea, this mental health awareness in the workplace. And just trying to localize it in the Kenyan context. And I do think there's still a lot of stigma and lack of understanding. And I mean, that is why we're having this conversation around the importance of these conversations, like at the work. How do workplaces get started? What's like even the first step to take to start have this awareness? And then just tagging on to that, if there is like a particular employee in the organization, do you think it might feel like they're being provided like some form of special treatment, given all the additional work that needs to be done on an individual basis to make sure that they can like thrive and be a helpful contribution to an organization?
Yeah. I mean, perceptions I'll start with the last question, but perceptions, we can't control people's perceptions. They'll always be there. And it's just, I believe the HR or the supervisor can work with the said staff on a plan of tasks, things that need to get done, schedules, just to support them, and then to monitor that, because it's also not... we also don't want to be giving them different tasks because of the mental health illness. People can still thrive and function fairly well with a mental health illness. So it's really having that system in place so that as the supervisors or the HR, they are aware. Yeah. And then going back to your first question as to what steps that can be done. For me, when I think of like mental health, we're talking specifically about mental health illness, though when thinking about what an organization can do is to have steps to think about well-being. So well-being strategies, and to have, when you think about well-being strategy, it's good to have HR there. It's good to have a psychologist there. It's also good to have someone from finance there because these things also need some of the things do need money. So looking at what are initiatives, well-being initiatives that can be done on a regular basis to really promote well-being. And this could be things like, for instance, if you look at next month is Valentine's Day. Is there anything you can be doing in the office to promote and love amongst colleagues, and then also for people to promote to do things with their families, with their significant others. So that's something fun that I think everybody would love.
I remember you shared that template with me for last year for
Yes,
Valentine's.
yes. So you're true.
I'll
Yes,
share that one as my initiative.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just something simple like
That's
that.
sweet,
And it
yeah.
really reminds you to be taking care of yourself and taking care of others. And you see, it's a very non-threatening challenge, because it's something like take someone for lunch, tell someone you like them, you know, and it's to think of, you know, like scheduling things like that, or even as a workplace deciding once a month we'll go for lunch together on Friday, you know, or we're gonna have some sports. We're going to go for Standard Chartered Marathon. For whoever wants to run, we'll go together. For those who want to walk, we'll go together. So it's good to have these regular calendar activities that are put throughout the calendar to be looking at how are we promoting well-being.
That's so.
Yeah.
And that's simple.
It's
right?
very simple. I honestly, sometimes I'm like, it's everybody wants to be thinking of how they want to be well. So it's something that everybody can put their heads together.
Yeah.
And then also now looking at, in the event that we also need to be recognizing as part of wellness, how do we know that a staff member is struggling? Yeah. So, and that's where, you know, I say including a psychologist, because then a psychologist can really raise awareness as to how do we know when, you know, even talking about topics like stress management, burnout, how do we know when someone is struggling? How can we get them help when they're struggling? And also having referrals systems, whether it's to a psychologist for therapy, or a psychiatrist also, in terms of any medication that may be needed in some cases. So it's also looking at that component itself. And then when I was saying the finance, you know, we all like to go on staff retreats and we want to go to a nice place.
Yeah.
These things need to be budgeted. We just can't wake up and say that we're going to go for it. So it's something that, you know, projections, having in mind how much money you need to do this, it can really be helpful. Yeah. So just those three areas, I think, and there could be many more. I'm just thinking off the top of my head as to what could be done to, you know, promote this well-being.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any success stories of an organization, either that you've worked with? I mean, you don't have to disclose the names or anything, that have put in like really great mental awareness like initiatives, and we have seen like it's thrived like as an organization.
Yeah. One really stands out for me when you even asked that, and I was smiling because I felt so happy. I worked once at an organization that had wellness champions.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And it was so nice because it was wellness champions who were selected to promote wellness in the environment. And it was so nice because it was a hospital setting. So you can imagine you're dealing with a lot of sick people, with death, with loss. So the wellness champions were there to promote just, you know, let's all be thinking of being well, whether it's physical wellness, emotional, financial, you know, they really spread out on all the 8 components of wellness.
What are there 8?
Yeah, there are 8, but don't ask me to list them because now I'm trying to remember. There's like financial, emotional, spiritual, environmental, off the top of my head, I can't.
We look for the others.
We look for the others, yes. So there's different dimensions of wellness. So it was really nice because they focused on that. And we managed to do a lot of activities and initiatives in the hospital, including everybody. And it was really fun. And also it was a nice community for us. Like we created a nice wellness champion community, and we checked in on each other, took care of each other. And I'm still friends also with, the wellness champions that were part of the we were members with, and still checking up on each other, even though we're in different organizations now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
So many great ideas.
Yeah, there's
Insights.
so much
yeah,
to do.
so much to do. And they all sound very simple.
They're
you
very
don't need like a
simple.
lot of like money or resources or
No.
approval. Like I don't think anyone will be like, oh no, you can't be wellness champions.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's good vibes. Yeah.
Yes. And I mean, I also want to say that I think also if I'm thinking of just like the Kenyan context, I think we are doing also some, because quite a number, not some, because you have people, when someone has a baby, you know, people want to have a baby shower in the office.
Yeah.
In the unfortunate
So
event,
important.
someone loses someone, they are there to contribute, going for the funeral, supporting them, giving them time off. And that's, or even when people are sick, that's one of the things I think we do very well.
Yeah.
We are always there to support our colleagues in the good times and also in the bad times. So I think it's just now these other small things that can be added along the way to just now make it a whole component.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Really great insights.
Yeah.
You were talking about, like, I think outside of like mental health in the workspace, I want to like zoom out into Kenya.
Yeah.
And yeah, what are the, like, sometimes I have, and you can correct my perception, that Kenyans are not quite there yet in terms of therapy. There's still a lot of like stigma around therapy. It's looked at things for like people who can afford and in a different class.
Yeah.
Mental health issues are not like really addressed, but we know it's on the rise. Suicide rates on the rise. What are your thoughts into just mental health in Kenya?
Yeah. I mean, I can see where you're coming from, and I do agree, though I'm just looking at it as 15 years ago when I went to study. Not 15 years ago, I think I studied longer than that. Yeah, let me stop lying. But true. But a long time ago. But when I went to study, I remember meeting one of mom's friends, and they were like, "You're going to study psychology? Like, really? Who does that? You know?" And I had the passion for it, so I knew I always wanted to be a psychologist. So I was just like, no, I'm gonna do it, and I'm excited to do it. And then I was graduating, and the same person was like, "Are you really gonna come back to Kenya?" And I was like, yes. I'm gonna come back to Kenya because so we've gone from that, and very few people and very few universities offering psychology degrees, and no registration under the Ministry of Health. And now we are being registered. The first psychologists and counselors were registered by the Ministry of Health in December.
Oh, just last year?
Yeah, so we are like, there's so much that has changed.
Yeah,
so
congrats.
So if I look at it from when I went to university to now, there's definitely been more awareness. And you have people with podcasts. There are a lot of psychologists and even psychiatrists who are talking about this more often. Though, yes, there's still stigma. The stigma is still there. And I think it's brought on by lack of understanding. I remember in December at one family function, and I was sharing with a couple of people how one of the things that makes me very sad as a psychologist is when I hear people talking badly about someone with a mental health illness. And I'm always like, no, let's protect them and let's do awareness. So I think it's that lack of understanding.
Yeah.
So it's, for me, I would encourage people, read up on it. So there's AI. You can ask AI anything nowadays and they'll answer you, or you can ask a psychologist, you can Google. There's so much out there. And even I love now with social media, you can find a TikTok talking about something. You can go on Instagram and you'll have people talking about their own mental health illnesses, their struggles. And I think when you see people thriving like that, is when you actually are like, it's okay. I
It's
can
okay.
seek help. I can go talk to somebody and it's okay. Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of celebrities also who have been diagnosed with mental health illness, like Catherine Zeta-Jones, you know?
Kanye West.
And Kanye, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Remember, we love all of them.
Oh, yes. Yes. No, but I'm saying I don't know if he has been diagnosed.
Yes,
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
he has. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But like Catherine Zeta-Jones has been, pretty open about it.
Yeah.
And you think of all that she's been able to do, all the movies and everything.
Yeah,
and
she's still thriving.
she's still thriving and doing the best and thriving in everything, in work, in family. So it empowers people. So I think it's more that awareness needs to be there.
That awareness.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I, as much as I do believe it's, and I believe what you're saying, that it's seen as for a certain class.
Yeah.
It's seen for a certain class, for specific people. Though if we look at the news every day, we are reminded that mental health does not target a certain class. It doesn't target a certain race or age or gender. It's just there. Yeah. And when someone is struggling, it's best to get them help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about like sometimes the costs that come associated to it? Because it's quite high.
Yeah.
I feel like it's sometimes very inaccessible.
Yeah.
Like when you look at like, say, like in Australia, you can go see a therapist for like free. So that makes it, and they're like in the workplace, at university, that already makes it accessible. As part of someone who's in this association, what are your thoughts around making it like a little bit more like accessible? And I completely understand psychologists need to be fed. Like you have, we're not saying like give us stuff for free, but like we all have needs. I mean, we know the economy of Kenya, so I just wanted to
But just to clarify, it's the Counselors and Psychologists Board, not association.
Oh, sorry. What's the difference?
So I can say the board is regulated by the government and it's under the Ministry of Health. And the association is a group of professionals, psychology. I belong to the I'm a member of the Kenya Psychological Association and American Psychological Association.
Okay, got you.
So we're just sharing ideas about psychology and really just a network of psychologists to build on the practice and many other aspects. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
So price, we're talking.
Yeah, we're talking about price. Yes, it's expensive. That's for sure, and I hear that a lot from people. Even I remember when I put up my prices on my website. Well, it was different because when I put up my prices on my website, I had some people saying it was expensive and others saying it's cheap compared to what other therapists are charging.
Yeah,
and I think it is expensive, and I know not a lot of insurances are taking it. Though I always like to look at it as an investment. Investment in your mental health so that you can be able to thrive. And I think that's so important because, yes, and there are a lot of people who are struggling. I mean, with the current, economic crisis all over the world, there are people struggling to put food on the table, school fees, and it can be hard. And there are facilities that have psychologists, nurse counselors, who are providing this. So at different levels, there is services that are provided. Though I will say that, of course, in some places it's very expensive, and then it limits who has access. Which is sad.
And I think I mean, I don't know what the government is doing, but like, and also like insurance companies, like, come on, this should be one of the mandatory benefits of like having like insurance.
I agree. I definitely agree with you. I think I believe that it should be something that's covered because it's health. There's no health without mental health. We hear that all the time. So it should be covered. And the number of insurance companies that are, have mental health cover is increasing,
Okay.
so which is good.
Yeah, which is good.
Though it would be nice if it's more accessible.
Okay.
Yeah, for everybody, regardless of who, where. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just a final question around if I'm seeking a therapist, what do I look for? Like, and I think there was a time when I was seeking one, I was like, oh my God, it's like the wild, wild west out here. Like, it's like you any size, you said it's expensive. So you pay for your initial, like, I just don't really vibe with this person. Like, and just like, I think it took for me like a couple to be like, okay, now I found. And is that the way to go about it? Just like trial and error, or is it
I mean, let me give this question back to you. When you're looking for a medical doctor, what do you do?
I think for a medical doctor, it's more straightforward. Like I am like, okay, unless it's something specific, like say, if I'm just having a cold, I really don't care who I go to. Like, I just go like, I have this cold or I have this stomach issue. Just, it will be a service. If they're nice, it's okay. If they're a bit cold, it will be fine. Just as long as like they give me the medication and I get better. But I guess when it's something specific, and maybe just going back to like during pregnancy, you want someone who understands you, who understands like what you want, your requirements. Like say I want, again, using pregnancy as an example, I want a natural birth, I want a home birth, I want, all these different things, and they're accepting of that, but open to that, but also can give you alternatives. And just have like a good relation with them. Is what I can say when I've looked for a specific type of doctor.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very important question to ask because I get asked a lot for referrals also before I start my practice, and also from my friends because I can't see my friends for therapy. And what I normally advise them is they can just reach out to the therapist and have a talk on the phone. And just and also get information on the therapist, read up what's their therapeutic style, what's their specialization, what's their qualifications. So really just finding out also information so that it can help you make a decision. And something you said is so important. What's the first feeling you get when you even talk to this person? If I called a therapist and I felt, even just from asking them questions, they're impatient, they don't answer me, they don't want to give me time, I'm definitely not going to book or even book with the first appointment. And that's something that even in my practice, it's something I've made available for, even if you've gone through my website, you've read what I do, and you still want to ask me questions, I'm welcome for you to ask me questions and I can answer them. And you can even come for the first session. We have the session, we can discuss your needs, you see if it fits, and that's what it is when it comes to therapy. And a good place to have like a list of therapists that are out there would be like associations, also now the counselors and psychologists board, because then you do know this is a registered psychologist, and that you will be able to get the service that you need, because we do have to follow all the ethical practices and really create that therapeutic space for the clients.
So what's like, do you know what the minimum like qualifications for a psychologist is? Because I know there's the people with like certificates, diplomas, the ones for church.
So generally for a psychologist, you would need an undergrad and a master's. And then now if you want to advance further, that's up to every individual. I do know that you can get for counselors also, it can be master's or undergrad or master's, and there are also certificates in counseling.
Yeah.
You can do a certificate in counseling, and I think that's okay and it's needed. That and also the church counselors are needed when it comes to spiritual counseling. So everybody just really
Also,
supporting each other. Though it's also to know as a therapist, when is this something I can't handle that I need to refer to somebody either more qualified or specialized in the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So that awareness is really important for
Yes.
the counselors as well to know.
It's important for the counselors and also for the clients.
For the patients.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think there've been a lot of insights and ideas that have been shared around how to create like mental health awareness in the workplace. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And we hope that your practice thrives
Thank
and
you.
people reach out for help.
Yeah.
And again, thank you so much for coming on set. We
Yeah.
are actually in her office.
Yes.
It's so peaceful. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. If you have any questions, any comments, are there things we didn't touch on around like mental health awareness in the workplace? And remember, if you are struggling or know someone who is struggling, make sure to reach out. And again, as we always say, be kind. For those who are not able to disclose, it's always important to be kind and just love. Love is the biggest and greatest emotion. So until next time, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe, share, and comment because this will help someone out there. Hey, welcome. The year is 2024. I need to figure out ways to make money out of my YouTube content creation journey. So I have tried and I have set up YouTube membership just for $1.99. Yani, I think that is about 162 bob. You get to see exclusive content from us guys. We will share a lot of behind the scenes stuff. We will share exclusive content from our guests. We sometimes have podcasts after the podcast, which are amazing. I'm not going to lie to you. So sign up to be a member. And if there's any content, if you do sign up to be a member that you would love to see, let me know. I am here to serve you. You have paid me 180 bob. I want to make it worthwhile. So sign up and see you as a member. Thank you for your viewership and your support. Bye.